Hello good people and welcome back to another math video. Today we will be talking about moving from percents to fractions and from fractions to percents. Let's get started. Okay, just a quick little recap on the definition. Percent, we have those two parts of the word, per and cent, and that literally means out of 100. The per meaning out of and the cent meaning 100. So any percent that you ever see is out of 100, which means we can move from a percent to a fraction pretty easily. Let me show you. All right, here's 50%, and I know that that literally means 50 out of 100. Can I write a fraction that shows 50 out of 100? Absolutely, there it is. 50 over 100. So 50% is perfectly equal to the fraction 50 over 100. Here's another common one, 75%. How can I write that as a fraction? Well, 75 out of 100. That's what percent means. So 75 over 100. Now, both of these fractions are mathematically correct, but they are not written in their simplest form. So they can each be reduced. So 50 out of 100, well, both sides could be divided by 50, and then we would be left with 1/2. And 75 over 100, both sides could be divided by 25, and we would be left with 3/4. So this gets us to an interesting thing, and that is that 50% is equivalent to 1/2 when we see that fraction reduced, and 75% is equivalent to 3/4. So because we know because we know percents are always out of 100, then we can quickly write them as fractions, and many of those fractions will be able to be reduced. So 30%, remember this literally means 30 out of 100. And could this be reduced? Yes. 30 can be divided by 10, and so can 100. So if we divide each of these by 10, I'm going to be left with 3 over 10. And there's 30% reduced to a fraction in lowest terms. How about 45%? Again, that literally means 45 out of 100, which I can write pretty easily. Then each of these sides, 45 and 100, they can be divided by 5. So if I do that, 45 divided by 5 is 9. 100 divided by 5 is 20. So 45% is equal to the fraction 9 over 20, or 9/20. 80%, well, that literally means 80 out of 100. These could be both reduced by dividing by 10. And I'd be left with 8 over 10. And some of you, I hope, are saying, wait a second, both of those are even numbers, so they could be divided by 2. Yes, they could. If you spotted that, good job. And if we divided both of these by 2, I would be left with 4 over 5, or 4/5, which says 80% is equivalent to 4/5. Okay, that was percents to fractions, but what about moving from fractions to percents? No problem. The key thing to keep in mind is that percents are out of 100, so we need to get to something out of 100 with our fraction. All right, let me start with a really basic one, 1/2. In order to turn this into a percent, I need to have this fraction be out of 100. Because once I'm out of 100, that's my percentage. So how do I move with multiplication from 2 to 100? I would have to multiply by 50. We always need to do the same to the opposite part of the fraction. So 1 times 50 is 50. 50 out of 100 is equivalent to 50%. Let's look at another one that might be a little trickier. 1/4. So again, I need to get out of 100. So I'll have 100 as my denominator, how do I move from 4 to 100? I'd have to multiply by 25. Whatever I do on the bottom, I'd have to do on the top. 1/4 is equal to 25 over 100, and that is equal to 25%. Sometimes fractions don't easily go directly to 100. For example, if I have 9/12, there is nothing that I can multiply by with an easy whole number that will take me from 12 to 100. So this reminds me a bit of some of the ratio table work that we've done, where first we looked at a way to reduce this fraction, and then we could do something with it to get us where we wanted. So how can I reduce 9 over 12? Well, 9 and 12 can both be divided by 3. If I divide them by 3, then I'm going to get to 3/4. 9 divided by 3 is 3, 12 divided by 3 is 4. Now, 3/4, that I can use to get me easily to 100. If you remember on the previous slide, I had 1/4, and to get to 100, I had to multiply by 25. So that's the ticket here for this one, to multiply by 25, and that will give me 75. So 3/4 is equal to 75 over 100, and that is, of course, equivalent to 75%. So sometimes we do need to do that extra step. We'll do one more of those. Here's 3/15, and let's say it's saying, what is 3/15 as a percent? No problem, I just got to figure out what this is out of 100. But the problem is 15 does not multiply easily with a whole number to get me to 100. So the first thing I'm going to have to do is reduce 3/15. And when I reduce it, then it's going to work out. Well, both of these sides can get divided by 3. And when we do that, 3 divided by 3 is 1, 15 divided by 3 is 5. Now, can I go from 5 to 100 with a simple multiplication? Yes, I just have to multiply by 20. 5 times 20 is 100, so I have to do the same thing on the top. 1 times 20 is 20, and 20 out of 100 is going to equal 20%. Okay, quick little recap. If you're trying to go from a percent to a fraction, like say 40%, just take that 40 and put that over 100. Done. There is 40% as a fraction. Sometimes it'll say to put it in simplest form, and then you're going to have to reduce your fraction. If we have to go from a fraction to a percent, you are trying to move your original fraction, like let's say 1/2, you need to get that to be out of 100. Sometimes you can do that directly, and sometimes you might need to reduce the fraction first so that you can get a whole number multiplier to get you to 100. Okay, that's it. That's percents to fractions and fractions to percents. Hope that helped. Have a good day.